Good morning, everyone. We are coming into a very special Shabbos. Every Shabbos is special. After Purim Katan, month of Adar, but Parshat Tisa. Tisa is a parsha, very special parsha, talking about the story of the golden calf and Hashem forgiving us for the golden calf. Very, very beautiful parsha. But we're going to touch only one short idea and one small lesson. And this is, in the beginning of this week's parsha, we're learning about the kiyor. The kiyor was a basin with water that the Kohanim would have to wash before doing their work. That's the kiyor. So the kiyor law is in this week's parsha. And a question being asked, we will learn about all the buildings of the Mishkan with all the details and all the utensils. We'll learn in Parshat Truma. Some Parshat Tetzaveh. Parshat Tisa, we're done. Why are we talking about the kiyor over here? An explanation is because the kiyor was not really part of the Mishkan. It was really like outside. It was not that important. It didn't look like. It was not part of the importance of offerings, importance of the prayers and the lighting, etc., etc. But just in order to wash your hands before coming in. So it's like not a part of the temple. It's just before coming into the temple, you have to clean yourself, and that was the kiyor all about. That's why it's not in the regular stories about building the Mishkan. It's only looks like secondary, like after. That's the simple explanation being given. But we see something very unique and beautiful. Completely the opposite. We know the law, how much water has to be in this kiyor to wash Kohanim. What's the minimum? So we'll learn the law is got to be for 4 Kohanim. It says, why 4? Because at that time was Aaron, the Kohen Gadol, his 2 sons, and who is number 4 that we need for Moshe Rabbeinu. So there had to be for 4 people, Moshe Rabbeinu included. Now, big question, why Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't a Kohen. So the simple answer is he worked for the first 7 days, but he worked everywhere else too for his first 7 days. He worked on the altar and he worked everywhere. But we see the kiyor is something very unique and a great positive idea, that the kiyor relates also to Moshe Rabbeinu. And this is why it's got to be enough water for Aaron, for the 2 sons, and Moshe Rabbeinu. We see 2 opposites. For one side, they're telling us that this kiyor is like really outside, it's only to rinse your hands. But from the other side, they tell us the kiyor is very important. Moshe Rabbeinu is part of it too. What is the idea of the kiyor? And the explanation is a very long, beautiful explanation, but the lesson is a very short and very to the point. The kiyor represents someone that's outside, is dirty, and he's got to clean himself up to come in to the temple. That's what the kiyor is all about. The separation of the outside to the inside, rinse yourself up. It's not a part of the service. It's not a part of the great connection. It's only the disconnection from the negative of the world. To clean yourself up. Tells us the Torah. Even though it looks very simple, even though it looks just exterior, it just looks rinsing, it's not a part of the main important work, but it's very important. Moshe Rabbeinu is included in this one too. Because what makes it important? What's so beautiful about it? Hashem says, the simple person outside dirty coming to wash himself up in order to go in to the Mishkan, going into the synagogue to daven. You know, that little faucet outside just washing himself up. It's just outside the synagogue. It's not so important. It's very important because that represents the idea of a Jew leaving the outside and coming in to the shul, to the Bet HaMikdash, to the Mishkan, serving Hashem. The service is nice, but the idea of disconnecting from the outside, coming into the inside, That's the greatest part. So from this side, we see how the Kior really represents the most beautiful thing by Am Yisrael. It represents, Hashem says, I love it. When, as we know the story, that the Kior was built from the copper of the woman. I'm not going to get into the story right now. Learn it yourself. It shows in the deeper sense, it's a great, great thing, this Kior. But what's so great about it? It looks simple. It's just to rinse yourself up. Hashem says, I love this. A person being old in his work in the mud, takes himself a time, rinses himself up, and comes into the shul, comes in to be with God a little bit. You're a very simple person. You're all in the mud. You're a farmer. You're a butcher. You got to do what you got to do. But sometimes you're ready to clean up a bit, wash yourself up, and come into the shul. Hashem says, I love this one. And because Hashem said, I love this one, Hashem said, I want the Kior to be represented not only by Aaron, she represented by Moshe Rabbeinu too. Because Moshe Rabbeinu, as we know, represents all of us. It represents the simpleton too. The one that's in work mode the whole time, getting dirt in the mud, but he rinses himself up for a few minutes to come in. Hashem said, that's the one I love. I just want to share a short story, but very quick. The story with the great Tzemach Tzedek, the grandson of the Baal HaTanya. And this story happened when he was not Rebbe yet. There was a time the Baal HaTanya passed away, and his successor was his son, Reb Dov Ber, the Mittler Rebbe. And the Tzemach Tzedek was a son-in-law of the Mittler Rebbe. In other words, he was son of the Rebbe at that time. He was a young man, but a great man at that time too. And he walked into shul to daven. And self-understood is davening with great meditation, very important, flying with Hashem. And as he's sitting and davening, there was this man, I forgot his name right now, but the way the previous Rebbe says the story, he mentions the name of that person too. He came to the market, he was selling his oxen, his cows, whatever he was doing. And he had a few minutes, he came into the synagogue, and he sat down with a Tillim, and he was saying Tillim. The Tzemach Tzedek, in his deep meditation of davening, the Tillim sound came to his ear. And he said, what is that? He had to get up in the middle of his meditation, middle of his davening, to look around. And he said this, he sees this peasant. I think his name was Moshe Nachum, I don't remember now. He saw this peasant saying Tillim with such kavanah, with such tears. Doesn't understand what he's saying, but so into it. The Tzemach Tzedek looks at it, goes back to his place. He can't continue davening. And he sits and he cries, and he cries, and he cries. Just from that Tillim he's listening. And then he can't hold himself. He gets up, he walks around the shul, and he saw a chassid. The name of the chassid, I think, was Ephraim Yaffe, if I'm not mistaken. One of the Greek Chassidim of the Mittler Rebbe at that time. And he tells him, do you hear this Tillim? I wish my old davening, I should be able to reach a level to be able to say that Tehillim like this simpleton. Tremendous, beautiful story. Tzemach Tzedek, great, great man. At 600,000 Siddim. What is he saying? I wish my old davening should be like the simpleton just saying a little bit of Tehillim. When he concluded, he said, Hashem listens. Whoever calls them with emet, he says, that's the emet. That simpleton, the farmer just came in from the mud, he came into shul, said a little bit Tehillim, but with his heart. That's great. I wish I should get there one day too. The Kior representing to us this idea. Hashem says, the simple person from the mud on the street, or rinsing himself up and coming in to shul to daven bed. I love it. Moshe Rabbeinu, you got to be part of it. Every Sefol, a good Shabbos.